How many of you actually remember me? Now that you young kids, you Boys and Girls Club members, you don't have to answer this question because I've got grandkids older than you. But how many of you older folks remember me as a baseball player? Thank you. A few. That's good. And how many of you remember me as a broadcaster for the Atlanta Braves? A few more, huh? That's probably not a whole lot of hands raised up. That's why I got fired as a broadcaster. I was there for only 2 years. Matter of fact, when I was playing for the Braves, I played for the Braves when we weren't very good. This is back in the middle of the late 70s. And in 1978, I was sitting on the bench, which I did most of my career. Y'all need to know that I'm not a marquee player. I played a long time, and I played on a world championship team and so forth. But I'm like a middle American kind of guy. I fought for everything I've ever had and worked hard for everything I've ever had. So I'm not one of these Hall of Fame athletes going to stand up here and spin stories for you all night. But I did have an opportunity to be a speaker when I was in baseball in the off seasons for the ball clubs that I worked for. And one year in 1978 for the Braves, I got invited to speak at a banquet for the blind. And as Trey said, I do a lot of charity work. And I was wondering, after my less than mediocre career, why these blind people wanted me to be their main speaker. And as I was driving to the banquet site, I was contemplating what I was going to say, much like I was today over here. And I got to the banquet site, and the MC of the program said, "Mr. Chaney, I guess you're kind of wondering why these blind people wanted you to be their main speaker tonight." And I said, "Yeah, I'm really curious." He said, "Well, after listening to you play for 11 years, they thought you were blind too." I believe right here in our heart and soul, he put the truth. He gave us a free will to choose between right and wrong, between the truth and a lie. But I think one of the longest journeys the truth has to take it's in here. And now it's got to come out of here. It's got to come up to this thing we call our brain. We got to process it to where we can speak it or where we can write it, so people can hear it or people can read it. And we can rationalize so much today because of what's in the media and this thing called the television set, that this journey that the truth takes can get rationalized and just changed to where when it comes out, it's a lie. Sparky Anderson, the Hall of Fame manager who just passed away, was my manager on the World Championship team in 1975. I walked in his office one day and wanted him to tell me the truth. "Sparky," I said, "I want some more playing time. Why am I not playing anymore on this team?" He said, "Darrel, I'll tell you why. Sit down at this table over here. We're going to go around this team position by position, and I'll tell you why you're not playing anymore on this team." I said, "All right, let's do it." He said, "Well, sit down, we'll go out in right field. You play a little bit of right field, Darrel. We got a guy out there named Ken Griffey Sr. He's going to be Rookie of the Year. Darrel, in center field, we got a guy named Cesar Geronimo. You like to play center field, but Cesar Geronimo won the Gold Glove last year. And by the way, he's starting the All-Star game on Tuesday. How about left field, Darrel? You're a better left fielder than the guy we got out there on defense. His name is George Foster. But Darrel, last year he hit 51 home runs and drove in 126. I said to myself, why did you ask this question? But he was telling me the truth. Darrel, at third base, we got a guy named Pete Rose. Darrel, he gets 200 hits every year. He's done it for 10 years in a row. He's going to have more hits than anybody in the history of baseball. And he does. 4,256. Ty Cobb's in second place now. At shortstop, Darrel, we got a guy named Dave Concepcion. He's hitting 286. He's our 8th place hitter in the lineup. He's got 14 home runs, 25 stolen bases, and he's starting the All-Star game at shortstop. Now, second base, Darrel, you're a good second baseman. We got a guy over there named Joe Morgan. Guess what? I said, what? He said, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. You like to play first base, Darrel? I said, you bet. I'd anything to get in the game. He said, Darrel, we got a guy over there named Tony Perez. Guess what? I said, what? He said, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I said, oh. He said, now you catching the bullpen. I caught in the bullpen all the time to stay ready and stuff. And if I had to put you behind the plate in a pinch, I'd certainly do it. We got a guy behind the plate named Johnny Bench. Guess what? I said, is he going to be in the Hall of Fame too? Yeah. I saw these guys last Saturday. I said, thanks for your time, Sparky, and I got out of there. He called me back in. He said, I'm going to end with this. He said, I want you to know something, young man. You have a value to this ball club, and you don't realize it. We have 25 guys on this team, and you can relate this to any business you're in. We have 25 guys on this team. If Pete Rose gets sick, you're going to go in for defense because you're a good defensive third baseman. If Concepcion gets hurt, you're going to play shortstop because you're our second best shortstop in the team. You turn into a play better than Joe Morgan at second base. But Joe Morgan hits 30 home runs a year. But if he gets hurt, you're in there. Darrel, if I need a guy to score the winning run from second base, you're my pinch runner because you're one of my smartest base runners and you're one of my fastest base runners. He said, if I need somebody to bunt the winning run over to second base so Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Tony, all those guys can drive them in, it's going to be you to put the bunt down because you're the best bunter I have on the team. Do you understand the value you have on this team, young man? He said, I want you to be ready in case the game comes to you. Be ready in case the game comes to you. That's like it is right here in this life. We got to be ready in case the game comes to us.